Charles Phillips. I'm very happy to be with you here today and to introduce His Royal Highness Prince Turki bin Talal, who is the governor of Asir, the region you've just seen in the video behind you. He is also the chairman of the Asir Development Authority, which we're going to be talking about in a lot more detail today. But first of all, Your Royal Highness, welcome back to London. It's great to have you here with us. What we're going to do is we're going to have about a 30-minute discussion, and then at the end we hope to have about 5 or 10 minutes of Q&A with the audience. So please start preparing some of your questions. We've also prepared some really nice slides and pictures. We've got another video to show you. So you're really going to be introduced to the region of Asir, which for the vast majority of us in this room, I think is one that we haven't heard much about before. So before we start and talk in depth about Asir and the different sites that can be found there, Prince Turki, I want to ask you a little bit about you and your background. So a couple of things that I know about you. You studied at Sandhurst, the Royal Military Academy in the UK. You studied political science for your education at university. You're very interested in humanitarian work, and you've worked, as I understand, in Gaza, Syria, and different parts of the Middle East. And you're also an Apache helicopter pilot. So my first question is, how do all of these experiences impact the job you're doing today as governor of Asir?
Thank you, Charles. And thank you for the university for this invitation. I'm really thrilled and honored. I have to start by talking about my ancestors in Saudi Arabia from 300 years. The purpose of whoever is taking care of Saudi Arabia is to serve the people. This is the whole essence of the continuity and the trajectory that's going high since the creation of the kingdom, the first Saudi state, up to now. Based from that, everybody that wants to be part of this beautiful story has to have the essence of serving the people inside it. Through that, you have to be well prepared. So while I was in high school, I knew that sometime maybe in my life, I will have a chance to serve my country. So I have to be really ready and mission-oriented. What's more organized than Sandhurst to really get you prepared for mission orientation? And in terms of dealing with the people and different type of groups, political science and international relations will prepare you for that. And through that, the field of philanthropy came inside me, and I started working, putting these two disciplines into work, and then now Asir.
And I'll give a short introduction to my background and my connection to Asir. So if we go to the next slide. Last year, I spent about 4 months in total traveling around Saudi Arabia on different road trips. I'm a crazy adventurous guy. I hired a car from Tabuk in the northwest of Saudi, where NEOM is being developed. And I spent a month driving all down the Hijaz, all of the western part of Saudi. And one of the regions that I was lucky enough to go to was Asir. And this is just not a part of the country that I had imagined you could find in Saudi. It was a complete surprise to me. I'd seen a couple of pictures, but experience it for myself was amazing. And these are some of the pictures that we've added on this slide. So it's just an amazing place. So let's talk in a bit more detail about the type of things we can
You stayed
find.
for a month in Saudi or in Asir?
A month all down the Hijaz, and probably 4 or 5 days in Asir.
I didn't know that you came and know that you left. So that was really quick.
Well, next time there, we're going to meet together. Okay, so let's go into it. This is one of the slides we prepared to give a bit of an overview. So can you tell the audience, where is Asir, and tell us a bit about this part of the country?
Well, obviously, you all know where Saudi Arabia is. I would like to talk about Saudi Arabia first, then talk about Asir. Saudi Arabia is obviously our great country. Before talking about the geography of that country, this beautiful country, let's talk about the historical context. Look at just the geopolitical location of the country, and then how did that affect their geography? It's not only the size. The size of Saudi Arabia is the total size of what? Portugal, Spain, Italy, France, Ireland, and Dutchland, and Germany together. That's the size. But the historic context of Saudi Arabia, the unification of all these tribes, is magnificent. Asir is just to the southwest. You can see it there with the dark green. It's exactly the size of Austria, and it's about 81,000 square meters. So that's a very high-level explanation of the map.
Yeah, thank you. And I think even for international people, they're probably very unaware of this geography, but I think even for lots of Saudis. So when I chat to Saudi friends in Riyadh or maybe even Jeddah, but mostly in Riyadh, people are not really aware of this part of the country that much. So the fact it's now opening up is very exciting. So how about some of the unique things that we can find in Asir? What are some of the unique elements to it?
You're surprising me by these slides. Well picked, so let me just recognize what's here. Okay, I spoke about many of the things here. It's it's actually 2.1 million, the population. Everything else is correct. And we have, the only thing that's not there, it's 180 kilometers on the Red Sea. Mm-hmm. So that completes the story. It shows we have 5 topographies. We have the sea and the Tehama Plains, the escarpments, and the plateau, and the desert. 5 and 1. It's the only region in Saudi Arabia that has all together.
I think one of the unique things here is the climate as well. So
yes,
Saudi is known to be really hot, especially in the summer, but this region is a bit different. And I think you have the highest point is around 3,000 meters. So that's
100 and something.
Yeah, I think that's higher than anything we have in Europe. So that impacts the climate, makes it popular.
In Europe, maybe in the Alps, in the French side, maybe there's Mont Blanc, something. Yeah. But all the others are different, same height.
And I think if we go to the next slide, we've been talking about some of the topography.
Yes,
this is what we wanted. Yeah.
This explains what I was just talking. To the extreme left is the Red Sea. Extreme right is the beginning of the Najdi Desert. Between them is about 250 kilometers the width, and also the length is the same size. And this variety is the beauty of Asir.
Yeah. And Suda is the highest point, right?
Suda is the highest point in Saudi Arabia. Most of the cities are in the 4th topographical plane, which is Abha. We have all the cities, the main cities, is in that altitude.
So let's talk about some of the landscapes and also some of the activities that can be done. So Asir is, like the rest of Saudi Arabia, opening up to tourism. What type of things can tourists do when they come to Asir?
What they cannot do. What they cannot do is a space shuttle going to we don't have a space launcher. Maybe we will be working on that. Nothing else. Everything.
There's a lot people can do.
Everything else is there.
You know, when I was there, I was shown around by a few tour guides, and one of my guides was, I think, around 60 or 65, but he had the energy of a 20-year-old, and he does paragliding. So he takes people off much steeper peaks and cliffs than this and paraglides. And I thought, again, that's not something I imagined that you would find in Saudi. Yeah. Okay, so what's this?
This is one of my favorite locations. We have, same as these villages, 4,000. They're not the same style, because if you're in the, can I go back 2 slides back? Yes, here. Villages on the left take the characteristic of beach, straw, buildings. And the Rijal Alma area, more stony. In the plateau and Abha, stony also. In the desert, more mud. So let's go back to the village we were looking at. Yeah, this is the village in architecture sense is this. This is one of the styles. But the social life in the village, which is really more interesting. The coherence, the human side, how they take care of each other, how they take care of the guests, how when there's an attack coming on Saudi Arabia, how each village has its own people to participate in the main army, how they take care of the landscape around them. So the story is not only looking at architecture, but at the human element behind it.
And I think this is built with mud and stone, and there is this interesting slate
Yes.
sort of that's attached to the outside of the buildings. I think it's for the rain, when it rains, and to protect the mud.
Yeah.
But this is really unique.
Each building has a story and a function. Let's look at the tower up. The towers. There's two types of towers. There is one inside the village, like the ones we see right now. This is where they keep all the food to preserve when it comes to winter. They have all the stock. But if the tower is on a mountain close by, it's like a radar or an alert tower if there is any attack coming. So each tower has a function.
Okay, let's go to the next one. So
this is more towards the desert. It's more muddy. The Bisha, the Tarib, the Wadi bin Hashbal, the Amwa, the Tathlith, all these desert villages, this is the style.
Okay, so the culture. This region has a very unique culture.
One interesting thing in this picture is ladies, when they wear the yellow scarf,
flower
means,
crown.
Yeah, the one on the right. It means they're not married yet. If they wear the blue, it means they're married. So they used to get when they go to the farms and they go with their family for agriculture. People know that this shows you something on the customs that was in the Arabian Peninsula, how and is and will continue to be respect for women, total respect. And this is a way of how they get to know each other. It's a social way in a very protected environment that protects our heritage of how people socialize.
Yeah. And the picture of the man with the red beard, it looks like it's dyed. I think that's a red dye that's added. Maybe it's the sort of the henna that's often used on the hands. But color.
Oh, you know about henna also?
Just a little bit on the. Yeah.
You don't need me here. Just continue.
The color is one thing that I find really interesting, and because we're talking about Asir, I made sure I wore the most colorful socks that I could find today to link to some of these colors. So, okay, let's move on. So let's zoom out, and now we've given the audience an overview of Asir and some of the things we can find there. Let's try and think, how did we actually get here and what's happening at the national level in Saudi? So if you said to probably many of us here just a few years ago the words Saudi Arabia and tourism, most of us would have had a blank facial expression. We just wouldn't have put two and two together. But now we're starting to see tourism in Saudi.
Yes.
And ambitious targets. So what's happening in Saudi? And tell us a bit about Vision 2030 as well.
The government now has a North Star. Everybody is mobilized behind the leadership towards this North Star. There was no North Star before. Before 2016, there was no North Star. Second thing is that we would like to diversify our economy, not only basing it on one commodity. And to do that, the government has to look at the competitive advantages that it has beside oil. And that's, in a nutshell, what 2030 is. Yep.
So, giga projects and mega projects. lots happening throughout the country.
Based on that, the competitive advantages are all over the country. They could be, the first competitive advantage is the Saudi individual, how to invest in him, and half of the people, actually this whole activities that is done by our fellow citizens here. So I really would like to give them يعني تحييهم كلهم. Really. And the professionalism that we find in what convinced me to come here is the way they presented this forum. The way you present something is an art. And this shows you what's going back in Saudi Arabia. This is only a result of it. So in regions, there's competitive advantages. In Asir, the leadership recognized that there. Maybe we'll talk about in a second about Asir. So this is how the connection between the region and the vision.
Yeah, just to follow on that point, how does Asir fit into the national vision, to Vision 2030?
We have 13 provinces in Saudi Arabia. There's two types of style of governments in the world. There is a simple government, a simple type, which is the unified government, like France, Saudi Arabia, where you have a centralized government, deals with everything, and the regions, they don't have that lot of power. They take all the directions and the directives from the central government, from the capital. The second type is a more complex style, which is either a confederal like Switzerland or a federal like UAE, Germany, Brazil, USA, where the central government gives the regions more authority so they can make, because Saudi Arabia is the first type, all decisions are made in Riyadh. But because the leadership realized this is not, will not get the benefits of the regions. So they created something called the regions development authorities and gave them a lot of mandates, like the one we're in Asir, and gave them the ability to make decisions there, and instructed each of the 13 provinces, regions in Saudi Arabia to create a strategy, a plan. And first to discover what's the competitive advantages they have, and then build a whole economy accordingly.
That moves us nicely on to our next point of discussion, which is about your strategy and how you're planning to turn Asir into a tourism destination. So if we move on to our next one. So this is one that your team's provided. And I think, first of all, if you could tell us, in the top corner is the logo of the Asir Development Authority. If you can just tell us a little bit about what that is.
The logo is based on the 5 terrains I have just mentioned: the sea, and then the mountains, the escarpments, the mountains, and the desert. They're all there. And you would like to talk about the strategy? Yeah. This is simply our direction. We are the first region in Saudi Arabia to complete the strategy. And we are the flagship of all regions in Saudi Arabia. This is approved by the Council of Ministers and approved by His Majesty the King. So this is our North Star that we are following. If you want me to go through it, just to take you through it?
Yeah, let's try and pick out some of the some of the most interesting parts from this. So we're going to talk about the PIF projects in a minute, and I think we've got a video about that. Let's pick, so investment under prosperity. What are you doing to attract investors, both local and foreign investors, to Asir?
Do you mind, before I speak about investments, let me tell you how, because we start, let's consider the 2 pillars below, which is culture and nature, is the 2 legs that carry the strategy. Our competitive advantages in Asir, the most important ones are these 2. We're building a whole plan based on our nature and our culture. They're so rich that we can make successful stories from them. Going up, I will go directly to your question. We have 3 P's, in Arabic 3 alifs. The first P is iqtisad. Second P in Arabic is insan. Third P in Arabic is ard. Alif, 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 P, P, P. If you go to any person in Asir, I can assure you, he knows how to read the strategy. He knows this. And he knows that he is part of a bigger plan. Some of them have them they have it in their pocket.
Wow.
He says everything they do is related to the strategy. And this is the idea. Because if you only have a document, you're going to put it in the drawer and lock it, it's nothing. So it's an active document. It's a dynamic one. All the projects we do related to this.
And I believe you have involved people, local people, very closely in the
Yes.
development of the strategy in your plans. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes. We are proud to say that, okay, three criteria was followed in order to reach this. First is local engagement. We have conducted 4,500 workshops in all villages and everywhere, either a town hall meeting or a seminar under a tree, over a mountain, everywhere. So we know exactly what's in the minds of the people. It's a bottom-up approach. It's not just a consultant that came and parachuted on us. No, it's a bottom-up approach. That's number one. Number two, we coordinated with all governmental agencies, 70 governmental agencies, all ministries, especially tourism ministry. This is our main partner. And the tourism strategy in Saudi Arabia is totally aligned with the Asir strategy because it's the first region in Saudi Arabia. So they're taking it as a model to duplicate it everywhere else. And we definitely duplicated with an office in the Royal Court called the Strategic Management Office, which handles two kinds of strategies in Saudi. Saudi Arabia has two kinds of strategies. Secretarial strategies, which is the ministries, health, education, blah, 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 and the regions. Third criteria is benchmarking internationally. We have identified more than 30 regions worldwide which has similar characteristics of Asir, and shortlisted them to 8 and focused on the 8, and then so these three made us know what's happening in the minds of people, what's happening in the minds of the government, and what's happening in the minds of international arena, and combine them all together.
Yeah. So you're not operating in isolation. No. And we've seen projects in previous eras in Saudi which have operated in isolation. So that's very refreshing to hear that all of this coordination is happening. Sticking on the P, I have heard that, well, first of all, it's very clear that you're a very people-orientated person. You were sitting at the back before, and you were taking everything in, chatting to different people, talking to the students here today. And I've heard that in Asir, you sometimes take local people with you to your meetings in Riyadh. Can you tell us a bit about that?
How did you know about that? When we go to the villages and the town hall meetings and engage with people, with everybody, let's say we're meeting 20 people, let's say. We find 1 or 2 or 3, they're so enthusiastic, they're so helping others. They're distinguished. So my office is a field office. I have a car, which is my office. We go to a place, it becomes an office. So there's a guy that knows that these are distinguished. So we pick them, we offer them, do you want to come? They come with me. And we meet at the plane, and they stay with me in Riyadh. I go to Riyadh every 2 or 3 weeks, a full weekend. I have an excellent supportive family with me, and they're part of whatever anything good I do. And when we go to Riyadh, I stay for 4 days. This group of people, they could be an imam of a masjid, there could be football players, there could be teachers, there could be professors, and they sit with us for 4 days, and they meet with me, the ministries. Sometimes when I go to the Royal Court, they're with me. And so they know exactly what's happening in the central government, and they come and we teach them how to relay this message to the villages. Wow. The number of, now, I think the number is 1,200 since 4 years, January 2019, since we started this after, and guide us, a reflection of the leadership guidance to us, 1,000 and something.
Wow. Let's talk a little bit about the PIF project. And then I think we've got a video that we'll show. So let's show that one first, and then we can go into more depth.
But just to give some logic to this pyramid, talking about pyramids. We recognized our assets. We had to have a regional plan. The whole villages and towns were
abandoned.
No, not abandoned. عشوائي. إيش بالإنجليزي عشوائي? Randomly, we had to stop this random expansion. So we were instructed to include the regional plan. We also are the first region in Saudi Arabia to have layers of transportation, the zoning of lands, the land use of lands, and all that. And then moving up to enablers. Very important to talk about the enablers. We have 10 enablers that were all either not, okay, the basics of them were there, but there was problems with each of them. So we had to fix these problems before we move up. I'll tell you the 10 now. Completing the university campus, completing the medical city for the whole south of Saudi Arabia, Najran, Jazan, Baha, and Asir. Completing or starting doing the autoroute that links the plateau to the sea. A new Abha airport. Our airport right now only 1 million passengers per year. We have to go to 30 million to reach this strategy. Upgrading the telephones, the ICT. Upgrading the electricity grid. Desalination. We have problems in getting fresh water, maybe 200,000 cubic. Making sure this water gets to the houses. Making sure we have an industrial city to accommodate the infrastructure and the materials we need for construction and the housing. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you briefly what happened in all of them. The same sequence. University now complete, 100%. We have 80,000 students in the new one. We finished it in 1 year. It took 22 years to complete. It's done. With the guidance and the support of the leadership support, Charles, is decisions that make like that. I'm giving you examples right now. University, 22 years, stopped. King Khalid University, now it's finished, 1 year. 80,000 students done inside and problem solved. Medical city, we have a plan. There was no plan. Airport launched. I think I told them to give you a picture of the airport.
I think we have
launched and in process. And autoroute, we have a plan for it. ICT, we have, I'll give you a number. The speed in Riyadh, megabytes per second, is 120. In Asir was 20 only. Now we're up to 80. Electricity grid done. We have a new industrial city. We started working on them. Desalination solved. We have access. Water to houses, we are now 58%. We still have a long way to get them in because all the mountains and finally the accommodation for the people working on them. This doesn't mean that all this only started now. We have 13 governors of Asir since Asir became part of the new Saudi Arabia, the third state Saudi Arabia. Each of them did what he had to do at his own pace, but now we're moving things highly because we have an authority and we have vision. So that's the enablers.
And then moving up PIF projects. So public
once we
investment.
finished that, we approached His Highness the Crown Prince and said, we are ready now for projects.
Wow. And PIF, for those who don't know, is the Public Investment Fund.
It's a sovereign
wealth
yeah.
fund. Yeah.
You asked me a while ago regarding the investment committee.
Can I just ask you about, so the video we've just seen?
Yes.
That's one of the PIF projects in Asir. Can you just tell us a bit about what are the PIF projects in Asir?
We have 4 that are already launched, and 4 of them are in construction. We already hit the ground. First one is a Suda project, which is the Beverly Hills of Saudi Arabia. Beverly Hills of Saudi Arabia. There's no better explanation for that. It's a mixed use. It's a 600-kilometer size. Only 2% from the 600 will be built. The rest will be preserved because in Asir, we have 60% of the forests in Saudi Arabia are in Asir.
Wow, 60%?
60%.
Of the forests of the whole country?
Of the whole country.
Wow.
And Suda is 40% of the 60%. And 2% out of that will be only constructed. And the second project, which you just saw, which is Al Wadi, which will be the valley inside the capital, an all-year-round river, and it will be a mixed use also. If Asir is the body, Abha is the heart, and the Wadi is the artery.
Wow. So Abha is the capital, and then Al Wadi, is it inside the capital?
Correct.
Or it's
Abha is built on the Wadi.
Right.
Thirdly, we have an entertainment complex called 7 in construction.
And you mentioned about the trees and the forests. I think that's a good opportunity to connect to the Saudi Green Initiative, which people might have heard about in the news. And Saudi has a plan, I believe, to plant 10 billion trees across the country, which is a huge number of trees. So Asir, I imagine, is going to play an important role in that as a very green part of the country.
Correct. You want me to go to the investment committee?
Yeah.
It's very important. Okay, we have now many investors coming. But if we don't organize their point of entry, we are going to have chaos. Because you're going to have, let's say this is a mountain. You have a Four Seasons here and Hilton here. Nobody knows about each other. Yalla, we're stuck. So we said, hey guys, stop. We took the permission of the leadership. This shows you leadership participation. His Highness and the Royal Court has to order ministers to. So now we are together in one table, Minister of Tourism, Minister of Investment, Minister of Rural Affairs, the PIF, Endowment of University, the Minister of Agriculture, because they have all the المنتجعات الزراعية.
Agriculture.
Yeah, resorts, yes. The mountain resorts, they're part of it altogether. So any investor now knocks this door to make sure there is a synergy, to make sure we're aligned with the strategy of Asir, and also aligned with the secretarial strategies of each respective. So, and a report comes that this committee approves the project. And we take care of the investor. We make sure he gets all the facilities. He's happy. We make sure we follow the timeline. We have now ongoing, when I say ongoing, I mean confirmed, 50 projects from hotels. We don't want to be a big city. We don't want to be another Riyadh or another Jeddah. We want to be a boutique destination, preserving our nature, يعني an upgraded Davos. That's our aim. That covers middle class, little bit of high of يعني اللي يدفعون أكثر. High income. That's our segment. يعني. Yeah. There's a lot of things I can talk about in the P.
I'll ask you one question about the people, and I'm really interested to know what the local impact is. And I'd just like to say that from my travels that I've done throughout Saudi, I think the people of Saudi are really the pleasant surprise for a tourist going throughout the country. And probably for most of us internationally, we don't know that much about Saudi culture. We don't know that much about Saudi people. So what is some of the impact of this strategy to develop Asir into a tourism region? What impact is it having on?
Very good question. Listen, if you respect the hearts and minds of people, they're with you all the way. All the way. So how do you do that? You can't say somebody, please respect me. You cannot do that. He'll say, you're crazy. He will respect you if you do three things. First, if you tell him, I'm going to say it in Arabic and help me to translate. Bika, ma'aka, ilayka. Yalla, help me. Bika, إيش يعني bika? From you, ma'aka, with you, ilayka, to you. Bika, tell me what you think. This is 30% of respect is there. Ma'aka, let him be part of the decision-making process. Ilayka, show him that this product is back to you. I show him the results. That's it.
I think this links quite nicely to having spent some time with your team over the last few days to prepare for this discussion. One of the things I've learnt is public service is really important to you, and that's basically the essence of what you've just said, serving the people from Asir.
Yeah, in Arabic we say, سيد القوم خادمهم, serve to lead. And what the whole idea of I'm being very genuine with you, with the essence of governance in Saudi Arabia is serving the people. Since the first Saudi state and up to now. So if this is implemented in actions, the people will not only receive the tourists correctly, they'll do anything you want because you respected their minds and hearts. But on the P, can I go back on the prosperity? On the people, sorry, on the people. I would like to talk about social development programs. I'll give you an example how, one example will take exactly 2 minutes to explain one of the social development programs, how mobilizing people, you know, the things that the people write on the bridges and on walls?
Yeah, graffiti.
The graffiti is the ugly side, correct? But if you do it correctly, it's art. I don't think you still call it graffiti. You call it
mural, probably
street art. But the bad side is graffiti. So it's everywhere. Graffiti here, under the bridge, over I don't know what. We said, that was 2 years ago. Part of testing of touching the pulse of the people, how we can mobilize them in a big area like this and making, I'll tell you what happened. How can we get of graffiti in 36 hours with using 0 contractors? So we said, it's all about hierarchy. The committee that is in charge, 2 or 3 people. Then we're going to use students, 10,000 students. How are we going to reach the 10,000? We have to activate different layers of government together. This shows you how we have an authority now in the Asir authority to do that. Before we couldn't tell the Ministry of Education, do this. He has to go back to Riyadh, and the Riyadh comes back to us. So we said, okay, the committee, and then we need students. So we have all of the 7 educational departments in Asir. We have 7. Each of them is responsible of maybe 10 or 20 villages or cities. Under them, the municipality, which has the grid of the neighborhoods. And then under them, the 10,000 students. So the 10,000 students are responsible by the municipality affairs because they have the grid of separation, responsible by the education departments because they have their own separation. So in each neighborhood, 150 volunteers. We taught them how to use the polish, how to work together. And we did the hierarchy for them, who's in charge of them. And the houses of the people participated for their, they want to pray, they want to wash, they want to eat. And inside them, there is the guy who's always, that guy who's, he has songs and he has music. So we activated him also to cheer the people up. You know what happened? They start 3 days. Started at 7 a.m., finished at 10 p.m. That's what? How many hours? 7 to 10? That's 16. ولا لا؟ من 7 ل 7 12 و3 كم 15. 15 hours. The second day 15 hours. That's 30. The third day 36. In 36 hours, 0 gravity in Asir. Completely.
Wow.
So the people there are so now we just finished a social development program in Ramadan. It's called Ajaweed. I would like you all to check it out later. Ajaweed. It came from one of the Prophet's companions called the Prophet وَكَانَ أَجْوَدُ مَا يَكُونُ فِي رَمَضَانِ يصف الرسول. فإحنا خذنا كلمة أجاويد أجودوا and we transferred it to a big initiative. Participated in it 120,000 volunteers in Ramadan. In 3 aspects, in the mind, in the soul, in the body. 7,000 initiatives. Check it out. And it just shows you how the people are so dynamic in that area.
Yeah, brilliant. Let's move on because I want to make sure we have a bit of some audience questions. So we're going to talk about progress that's been made in addition to what you've talked about already. If we go to our next slide, I think, so these are some things that your team has provided. Can you just give us a little bit of an overview, or let's pick out something? I mean, the investment figures that we see here, that's a big shift from 2019. And I think the authority, the Asir Development Authority, was created when?
At that time.
2018, 19?
No, 19.
19.
Same period.
Yeah.
Yep. What do you want me to?
Big jump in investment. What explains that?
Yep. In the socio-economic development, in January 2019, it was less than 500 million. Now we're exceeding 35 billion riyal. The answer, go back to the pyramid, the steps, because we're working closely with the central government. When I say closely, let me tell you something about how the teams work. When I go to Riyadh with my team, I take the whole team. I don't have an office in Riyadh. So I work in my house or use ministerial offices. The ministers are like my brothers, really. More than brothers. I don't see my brother, I see the ministers more and their team. And sometimes I don't meet the minister. He leaves his offices and I meet his الوكلاء so what was your question?
Investment, the jump in investment. You've had this big jump in investment. So less than 500 million riyals, 35 billion riyals now. I mean, that's amazing. I do want to ask you, though, about, at the top here, the architectural code. So you have developed, the authority has developed an architectural code.
Correct.
For
Which is the
Asir.
second point up. Yep.
What does that mean? What's the architectural code?
I'll tell you. The Crown Prince is very, very sensitive on environment and on architecture code. He says, if you come to London, yesterday when I came to London, we were landing, you look out the window, you see the Thames, the river,
yeah, the Thames.
Thames. Mm-hmm. You see London Bridge, you see you know, this is London. When you go with the car, look at the bricks there, you know it's London. In Riyadh, you don't know it's Riyadh. Riyadh is like Jeddah. In Cairo, old Cairo, masalan, you can know. But if you go to Masr Jadida, you go to other places, it's all similar. He says this is not right. If you go to Paris, you know it's Paris. So he said we have to have a code in the country. Mm-hmm. So we have now 19 codes in Saudi Arabia. Trans-region. It doesn't have to be region code. It could be Riyadh, Qasim, Hail, 1. It could be Jeddah, Medina, 1. 5 of the 19 is an Asir.
Wow. 5 of the
19
architectural codes.
Correct. It means any building we build, any new project has to follow that code.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I want to ask you quickly, we haven't talked about this yet, some of the key targets that you have for tourism in Asir.
Yep.
And also the timeline of when we're looking at. So how many tourists are you targeting to have visit?
In the strategy is exceeding 10 million by 2030, having in account what happened during the crisis of Corona, having that considered. Now in Asir, we are already reaching 5 to 6 million. So if you look here, all these numbers, we still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years to reach 2030. In the investment, I'll give you an example. In the investment, now we're 35 billion, correct? Mm-hmm. 35 billion, they're not, some of them is PIF, but we have investors. In the strategy, it was said we have to, in Amman, secure 6 billion riyal by 2030. Mm-hmm. Now we exceeded that. We're 8 billion right now, when we're only 2024 out of the 35. So, and I have to say again, this, I have to, because your audience, when I saw your preparation for this forum, is six type of audience here. We have our respective honorable ministers and governmental figures, but we have students, academics, entrepreneurs, you know, the 6 segments that you have. I have to say what I'm going to say right now. Is if it wasn't for the speed, the efficiency, and the adaptability of the leadership, we couldn't do anything. Speed decisions like that. And if the leader is not available for a certain, he designates somebody, and we move on. And second is efficiency. This strategy, you know how many, what did it take to it took, what? 8 months for us to complete. Add to it another 8 months from committee to committee to verifying, to go back, to verifying and go back, to verifying, go back until it's complete. Adaptability, to new technologies, new systems, all that.
Yeah. Let's go to our next slide, and then I'm going to ask you, we'll keep it on this one. I'm going to ask you about a couple of challenges that Asir might face and the future, what the future looks like. So first question here is about the perceptions of Saudi Arabia. So many of us internationally will have a certain perception about Saudi Arabia, but Saudi's changing very, very quickly. A new side of the country is emerging. So how do we bridge the gap? How do you bridge the gap between perception versus the reality of the new Saudi Arabia?
There's something, I will answer that definitely, but I would like to go back.
Sure.
Not now, after I finish the answer of this question, regarding investment.
Yeah.
on the perception, as they say, there are things you know that are known, and there are things that are not known. And between the known and the unknown lies the doors of perception. My answer to you is, the brand of tourism of Saudi Arabia is روح السعودية. روح in Arabic means the spirit, and روح means go. So my answer to you, to open the doors between the known and the unknown, is just روح السعودية. If you روح السعودية, your perception will change, simply.
So people need to go and see for themselves. And then something we've touched on already, you're preserving some of the older buildings. How can we balance between preserving cultural heritage and identity and embracing modern development?
I'll answer that by going back to the pyramid, please. Look at the vision of Asir. To transform Asir into a global tourist destination through infrastructure projects that make modernity with authenticity and natural. The equilibrium between authenticity and modernity is is our bread and butter, what we do every day, not only in architecture, in everything. So this is in the vision. Can I, while we're here, can I talk about the investment?
Yes, please.
Very important. You know what? I'll leave it. Maybe you have a question.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
This is good.
On the airport, the new airport of Asir, the international airport, and the autoroute, one of the things to check, are you on track or not, is by the expression of interest. There's something, when you do an RFP, you express the interest of the market, because we're going to do these projects with a PPP arrangement. These companies, they will not يجاملوك, يعني compliment you for just only complimentation. They have to base. I know they're not obliged to do whatever they express their feelings or their interest. I have a document right here on the airport, and I would like to announce it for the first time officially.
Let's look at the slide. I think we have a
you have it
image.
Here?
Can we go to the last slide, and we should have a graphic.
Yeah, that's the airport.
Right, yeah.
When we ask the companies, please express your interest on building this airport, we have 100 international companies, 22 countries. 35% are contractors, 36 are lead members, 14 are operators and other. On the autoroute, maybe this is only a coincidence. We have to check it with other major. This will cost what? 5 to 6 billion riyal. The autoroute will be 10. The capex is about 10, 12 billion riyal. On the autoroute connecting Abha to the sea, 69 international companies. Half of them are Saudis, and this is very good for the local market to be stimulated, and 38 international companies. 2 of them are from the UK. So this shows you that it's not a capital, it's not Riyadh, it's not Jeddah, it's in the southwest, and to show interest there, that's a good indication.
Yeah, yeah. So the message is you're getting a lot of interest,
yes,
both local and international. Okay, last 2 questions. What do you think tourism in Asir will look like in 10 years from now?
I don't know what will be, but I hope the following will happen. First, the people of Asir to be more happier, the quality of life more improved. And whoever went out of the region, because we are the first region in Saudi Arabia that people left for the past years. They left for other regions. A big amount of Aramco employees are from the south. Very talented, very smart, very enthusiastic. We want to get these, most of them come back to either come as a first home or a second, come back to their villages. So we want to make sure the quality of life is improved. Second, regarding the visitors, when they come back again. And enjoy a visitor's journey in a beautiful story that we're creating right now. Learn from other countries like Egypt, and to make sure that when they come back again. Yes.
Thank you. That's a really nice answer. I like how you put people first there.
Yeah.
And final question is, when will all of us here in this room be able to come and visit Asir?
To visit Asir? Now. You can, more than welcome, really. But to feel the real difference and the quality that we're talking about, we're talking, let's say, 3 years from now, 3 years onwards, and then gradually, because all the projects are phased. So from 3 years from now up to 2030, you will start to feel a real difference there.
Perfect. Wonderful. We're going to move on to some questions now,
Sure.
if that's okay. So we can take 5 to 10 minutes, and I'd love to get some questions from the audience. So we should have a revolving mic that's going around. So maybe Sarah, who's here in the middle.
Thank you so much, Your Royal Highness, and thanks, Charles, for such an incredibly insightful fireside chat. It's amazing to see what's been happening in Asir over the past few years. And my question is around the creative industries. Your Highness, you spoke about the graffiti to street art project and the creativity that's in the region. Is there a focus on the creative industries, whether it's, I know, with like Al-Miftaha being a key music hub in Saudi, a lot of great artists have come out from the region as well. And I feel like the culture of the region, as well as the nature of it, could really be an amazing backdrop and muse for creatives.
The answer is yes. And if you would kindly, yes, with capital letters, go to Al Wadi project, which we just, it's in the, you can find it. Half of Al Wadi is creative industry. Yes.
Thank you.
Perfect. And then let's go to the gentleman, if you can take the microphone.
Hello, thank you very much for a really interesting discussion here. I'm really impressed. My name is Bahaj, I'm from the University of Southampton. I've been here for such a long time, but I have recognized the regions that you mentioned, Asir, where I grew up in regions further south from those regions in Saudi Arabia. So my question is related to how pristine is that area? How do you make sure that that pristine is maintained when you have all those construction projects that you're going to have, which are necessary for development of the region? Or what other aspect of environmental security you can have? For example, our studies indicate that Asir is very close to quite a lot of resource of offshore wind. Could you not think about having offshore wind technologies for both desalination or for your energy supply?
Great question. Can you go back to the pyramid, please? Can you kindly look, Ustad Hassan, at the planet, the Imam Faisal bin Turki Royal Reserve? Royal Reserve. This royal, there is al-Mahmiyat, the reserves. There are reserves part of the Ministry of Agriculture, and there is the Royal Reserve. Anything that you find royal, it means it's connected directly to the king, to the Prime Minister, the Prime Minister and the king, automatic. Like in Britain here, the Royal Museum for Arts, the Royal Air Force. Although here it's a constitutional monarchy here in Britain, but when you have royal in Saudi Arabia, it means it's directly to the king and supervised. He gives it all the importance. This reserve is the 5th reserve in Saudi Arabia. It's just launched a few months ago. And it has many programs in it, including the ones you, sir, have mentioned. Thank you.
How about wind energy?
Part of that.
Great.
I think in the back there.
Yeah, and we have, I think there's a microphone over here. We could take the gentleman's hand who's at the very back. We have two. Do we have two microphones or just one working? Let's go. So there's the woman in the center, just to the side. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. معكم ترك البابطين, a recent graduate from Imperial College and a strategy and transformation consultant at Jacobs in London. I'm very glad that you mentioned the social development program, and as an upcoming MISC fellow prospect, I would like to get your opinion on a social development project of the empowerment of residents through the public consultation at the planning stage of infrastructure project.
Can you clarify more the question عشان أفهمك أكثر?
Of course. The empowerment of residents through public consultation at the planning stage of infrastructure project.
قولها بالعربي لو سمحت.
في مشروع إذا جاء مشروع معين في الانفراستراكشر كيف نعطي صوت للريزيدنتس. اعذرني والله.
I think we've covered some of these themes already.
I think we did, but I just want to make sure maybe he has a... كمل تفضل.
يسمى.
So I think I can rephrase the question. How are you getting input? How are you consulting local people about construction projects and infrastructure that you're building?
I think
so you are consulting closely.
Yeah.
I think that's what.
Everything we do is بك معك إليك. Everything.
Thank you. I will.
Allah يجزاك خير.
I'll give an example. خليني أعطيك example. Especially things that concern social impact. So we want to do a project like, for instance, what? We just, the brand of Asir was just announced 2 days ago. Please check it, beside Ajawid. Just Thursday. It's the first regional brand in Saudi Arabia, Asir. How did we do that? We got innovators from the universities, from the schools. We know them already. And we upgrade their qualities by taking courses and all that. And we activate them. We said, we have a launch. Give us your ideas.
That's amazing.
Yes. Everything.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yep, so next question, the woman with the microphone.
Sure.
Yeah.
يعطيك العافية طال عمرك. It was such an enticing conversation. I guess my question is I feel this is too loud.
That's good. Please keep it close to your mouth.
Without the mic? Yeah. So I think
please put it close to your mouth so that we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. So I think my question is, you said that we expect the projects to be funded by 10 billion in CapEx. So how does Asir plan to do that, and how much of that capital will be funded through FDIs?
No, the 10 million is one project only, which is which project are you talking about? Because I'm
talking in general about the strategy for Asir and the whole project.
If you're talking 10 billion, that's only one project, which is the autoroute. But there's tens of them. So
I think the question is, how important is foreign direct investment?
Is that your question, the FDI? Yeah, we're activating that right now. I just gave you a number of companies that are, they expressed their interest in participating in one of the major projects, with the airport and the autoroute. If this happens, this is a definite FDI directly to the region.
Let's take a couple more questions. If there's anyone else at the back as well, and then we can go to the gentleman at the front.
This group is more active than this group.
Yeah.
So we need And then I think, Your Excellency, you have something good. Maybe if you have, with my pleasure.
السلام عليكم طال عمرك. محمد سليمان الميدب, Vision Invest, Riyadh based. So I was very happy to see Abha Airport, and when you mentioned PPP, because that's what we do. So we're following closely what you're doing in Asir. So Abha Airport, the water pipelines and the pumping stations, the Asir Jazan roadway, and so many other roads and infrastructure. And we want to be even more active. So how much of these big infrastructure projects are, let's say, originating from the government and the Amarat Mantaqat Asir, and how much is it from, for example, Markaz al-Watani al-Takhsis, the NCP, the National Center for Privatization? And what can we do, investors, local and international, because also we have international partners, can do to be more active with the Asir Amara? Thank you.
Understood. Three ways I'm going to answer, and then I would Excellency would like, he has a, first, let's go back to the Haram. First, the Amara has nothing to do with all this. It's the Hayat Tatweer. The Amara is supporting the Hayat Tatweer. It's arm, yani, but the Hayat is responsible for creating the strategy and for implementing it. Second, if we look here, if we're talking Markaz al-Watani al-Takhsis, the privatization center, from the 10 projects I mentioned in the enablers, لو تشوف enablers المحطوطة هنا, airport is مركز وطني للتخصيص, مدينة طبية مركز وطني للتخصيص, new airport مركز وطني للتخصيص, the auto route مركز وطني للتخصيص, and في اليونيفرسيتي مبنى المعلمين. Everything else is direct ميزانية الدولة. أما مشاريع البي اف it's PIF funded. أما مشاريع في البي prosperity الانفستمنت اللي هناك it's the committee هذا اللي ممكن يجي foreign direct investment or مستثمرين بالمملكة. That's it.
Let's see if there's any final questions.
هناك.
Yeah.
هناك and the minister I think
Governor, thank you very much for coming and sharing this wonderful presentation. I think if I may ask a slightly challenging question, so please forgive me. I think you may have some slightly noisy neighbors in the southwest of the Arabian Peninsula. So my question to you is, has that had any implications for Asir and its vision? And how are you dealing with the challenges of, so we say, the noisy neighbors down south? Thank you.
May I ask you to repeat the question? I didn't really understand.
The question is about Yemen, stability.
Stability, that's it?
So how important is peace and stability in Yemen, as far as I understand?
And has that had any implications, or has that affected your vision going forward?
The number of companies I've mentioned a few minutes ago, expression of interest, is a solid answer from a third party. It's not governmental, central government, it's not Asir Development Authority, it's from international arena, diversified from all over the world, saying we have an interest in that region to build a new airport. That's one example. Plus, all the PIF projects are government funded by the PIF, but they have a partner who is the investors also. So this is my answer to you.
The Minister.
Minister, تفضل طارق. ما عليك.
Well, Samuel Amir, let me just congratulate you on a compelling vision, and the way you articulated it is a source of pride, actually, for every Middle Eastern and for every Arab. And to tell you the truth, you probably know I met my counterparty, His Excellency Ahmed Al-Khatib, who now I'm very proud to call a friend, more than any other Minister of Tourism since I took my job. We met for six times already. And I also had very, very good discussions with His Excellency Tawfiq Al-Rabi'a, the Minister of Hajj, on things like how can we regulate together, how can we coordinate policies for tourism in the Red Sea, how can we ensure that companies see consistent, the companies which will build the regional products that we are working on together, how will they see consistent policies on both sides of the Red Sea and in our ports and so forth. But when I heard what you're saying today, I was really, impressed, additionally impressed with what Saudi Arabia is doing. And I now know exactly why you managed to get 27 million tourists last year, plus 73 million local tourists. And I congratulate you on this, what you're doing. We're also learning from you. I'm proud to know that you're looking at what we're doing in Egypt, but I should also tell you that we're also looking at what Saudi Arabia has been doing. An example in TSA, the tourism statistics units and ability to calculate what the local tourists are spending and the tourist nights. So this is a magnificent work as well that Saudi has made advances to the world in working with the United Nations Tourism Organization to be able to develop the definition of a tourist and to advance the definition of the tourist worldwide by providing as well statistical frameworks to calculate what domestic tourists do and how they contribute to the industry and how they add to the revenues of the industry. So these are things that we're working together with our Saudi colleagues, His Excellency Ahmed Al-Khatib and His Excellency Tawfiq Rabi'a. And let me just compliment you one final time and thank you for this insightful presentation. I just wanted to add those remarks. Thank you very much.
شكرا. ممكن الأخت اللي لابسة أزرق.
Where are our microphones? So we have one over here.
So I'm ready here.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'll start. After 3 years, which city in the region is Asir competing with? Are you competing with Beirut, Salalah, or any other city, if you can name, just to understand the position of Asir in the tourism industry? The second question is optional, but I'm just curious. Why did you choose to sit in the back when you first came here to the conference? It's uncommon, and I'd like to know. Thanks.
I forgot the first one.
Who's Asir competing with, or you could start with the second?
Competing, I don't think we're competing with anybody. I think we are complementing. That's my word. That's my answer, really.
Can you name cities?
No, I told you in the beginning, we benchmarked 30-something areas that are similar to us, and then case studied 8, and then zoomed in. I don't call that competition. It's complementation to benchmark. Competition comes when we start really activating our work and seeing and comparing numbers. We didn't reach that yet. We just approved our strategy September 2022. And when we started in 2019, this was during the build of the strategy. So we're still in the early ages. To be very honest, regarding why did I sit in the back, well, that's where I usually sit in all of my meetings, and even in Asir. We have 19 governors in Asir, تحت الأمارة في 19 محافظة. And the whole idea of being a servant of the people is to serve them. So all of the governors, all of the officials in Asir, I told them we sit in the back, we don't sit in the front. And also chairs, there's no different chairs. It's all one uniform. And by that, this is one small thing that, but here in this specific venue, it's a different thing because at first I wanted to sit with Charles to say hi to him in the back and to put my microphone on. So that's the reason for this particular venue, but in Asir for totally different reasons. Yeah. I think there's a guy there. The lady.
So there's a lady in the middle?
Yeah.
In the middle row?
I promised her, and then the guy in the back.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Kautar, and I am a archaeology and ancient science student at the University of Amsterdam. So as I read last February, there were archaeological findings in the Asir region, and I was wondering how it will be implemented in the tourism and how the Asir region can benefit from it culturally and economically. Thank you.
I don't have an answer now, but I would like to tell Mr. Joe, my assistant, to take your credentials. I could contact you later, and we can follow this matter. Can we have one or two more, please?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go for two more.
في الأخ اللي there is a lady there, and there's the back. آخر شيء في الخلف هناك.
Is it me now? Or is it me now? My turn now? Or my, yeah.
Yeah, would you like to go ahead? Yeah,
Yeah, sure. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you, Royal Highness, for that inspirational talk and presentation. So, 20 years ago, I was global head of Morgan Stanley's infrastructure finance, or clean infrastructure, and I worked with the governments of China and Brazil to develop their wind and solar energy and dovetail their tourism and city development, and also help them create jobs locally, local manufacturing. Is that something you're looking at in the region? Because that would be huge opportunities whilst also matching or aligning with your tourism strategy.
Thank you. I don't have an answer also for that question, but I would happy to let my assistant, I can follow it with you later if you like. Yeah, thank you. Ma'am, تفضلي.
Assalamu alaikum, tal umrak. My name is Nawal Khalawi, and I'm a Saudi chef. And this topic is particularly close to my heart because my grandmother is from Asir, Jadda Halima. So,
Halima? Wait,
yes.
Which Halima? I know 5 Halimas.
Oh,
Tell me, really, which Halima? Tell me the village.
I'm not sure because she married my grandfather and moved to Riyadh before I was born.
She's still there?
She's in Riyadh now. So I'm not sure exactly, but I know that she loves Asir, and she used to make us all the dishes from Asir when we were kids. And so this is actually one of the reasons why I loved food, given my diverse background. My mother is German-Croatian, so I would have the European food on my maternal side, and then the Asir and the Najdi and the Hijazi food from my father. So I made it my life's mission to export our culture through food around the world. And so my question to you, Tal Umrak, is about food in Asir. Is there any scheme in place to support local chefs, or is it more about importing restaurants from outside, or is there anything in place for that currently?
I'm so happy to first, the whole Halima thing is beautiful. وما شاء الله عليك الحضارات Croatian, German and Asiri
Yes.
So first I would like to extend my invitation to you, Joe, to visit Asir. Where do you live, حضرتك?
We're here in London now.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll establish contact first, and then you will visit us, and then we can talk. I can link you to my team. I have a very beautiful team on this specific topic, and we can exchange a lot of ideas. I will take you a tour in the area, and we'll visit your grandmother's village also.
I think there is a real buzz in the room today and this afternoon because you've come here and you've come to London. So, Your Royal Highness, Prince Turki, thank you so much for being here with us, and we really, really enjoyed the discussion.